So we'll begin by talking about the one-to-one pitching. So what I'll be using is a technique called the 3-1-3 permission-based pitching. 3-1-3 permission-based pitching, and was made popular by a guy called Ryan Foland. Ryan Foland is R-Y-A-N, and then surname is Foland, F-O-L-A-N-D. He has lots of videos on YouTube, and I had the privilege of being taught this by him personally during the session, and it will totally transform the way you think about business. The idea is that you should be able to succinctly summarize your business into 3 sentences, and then 1 sentence, and then 3 words. So the 3 sentences are the first sentence being the problem you're solving in 1 sentence, the solution in 1 sentence, and the market it is for in 1 sentence. Then you can combine all these 3 into 1 sentence, and then find 3 words to explain what you do. So depending on the time you have available, you either use the 3 different sentences, or use the 1 sentence that combines the 3 things, or you use the 3 words that will succinctly describe what you do. It may not be 3 exact words, but that's just the idea. 3, 4, 5 words, but you should be able to clearly summarize everything you do. So right now, I'll touch on the first 3. Probably when you watch the video of Ryan Foland, you'll understand what the 1 and other 3 words is. But right now, let's focus on the first. And the first is to understand that people don't really care. It might hurt our feelings, but people don't really care what you do. And that's the real truth. They may ask you, what do you do? But they don't care what you do. What they care about is the problem you solve. They may not even know that that's what they care about, but that's truly the only thing they care about. How will you help their lives? How will you help the lives of those they know? A mentor of mine used to say that the only radio station people you're speaking to are interested in is a station called WIIFM. That's the what's in it for me. So when you're speaking, the only thing they're trying to tune to is what is in it for them. Every other thing you're saying doesn't really concern them. Until they hear that what's in it for them, then they pay more attention to you. So when you meet somebody, for instance, the person says, oh, so Dr. Simpa, what do you do? It's important to pick their interest and catch their attention. And so you say, it's not really what I do that is important, but it is the problem I solve. And then you stop talking. When you stop talking, the person will ask, what is the problem you solve? Then you go into the problem. But the idea is to make sure the problem is as captivating as possible. So there are 2 ways he describes problems. The problem is either a paper cut or a finger being chopped off. For instance, if you have a paper cut, all you do is just probably put it in the water or lick it and forget about it. But if you have a problem like a finger being chopped off, once you hear the problem, you want to immediately help the person. You want to immediately join in solving that problem. You want to go on the bandwagon. If you can't solve the problem, you will find somebody that can solve the problem for him, because the problem is that captivating. You are interested in hearing the solution to that problem. Many times people don't really understand that problem exists. But the moment you share the problem in the bloodiest possible form, for lack of a better word, that is the key to it. So in general care, for instance, the problem we're solving is the fact that before you are the age of 40, or just above 40 a bit, you would have lost one or both parents to untimely death, or have them severely incapacitated by conditions that could otherwise have been prevented simply because there's an absence of a structure for preventive health care for the elderly. That's the problem we're trying to solve. And if you understand this problem, you will know this is not a paper cut. This is a finger being chopped off. If you look around your life and look around the people around you, you realize that by 40 to 45, everybody has either lost one or both parents, or have one of them severely incapacitated by a medical condition. Do a mental calculation and try and check it out. Even if it has not happened to people around you, it will still happen to them, because that's what happened around. So that problem is a severe problem, and you may never have thought about it or realized it. But once you hear the problem, it's something that needs to be solved. It's something that, if nothing is done, might even happen to somebody close to you. And so it's a problem you need to pay attention to. The question is, how can you make your problem as captivating as possible? Whatever solution you're providing, people don't care about the solution until they know how impactful the problem it's solving is. The truth is that once you state your solution, what people have in their mind, they're thinking about 10 other things that do something similar. Oh, you're similar to so and so. Oh, you're similar to this. How are you different from this? But the moment you first of all state the problem and they understand the magnitude and the importance of solving this problem, then you have their attention. Until that point, they're not waiting for you to speak so they can tell you what they do. I'm sure the reason they asked the question most times was to also tell you what they are doing. So they're not really interested in what you have to say. But the moment you catch their attention with the magnitude and style of problem, then people are willing to hear what you have to say, especially in the health sector. Most of the time, our problems, it sounds like something that is important to us, but many times it does not sound important to the person listening. But you as a healthcare practitioner understand, why does this person not care about what I'm doing? Because you understand the importance. This thing can lead to death. This thing can lead to all types of complications. But the person is not even perturbed about it. So the example I like to give there is that in the past, I had a business called Sphinx Weekly Health Tips. And Sphinx Weekly Health Tips was an SMS-based business. That was way before all the MTN, DTU, or value-added service, blah, blah, blah. So the idea of the business was that for a subscription of 500 Naira only, every week, you get an SMS about a particular condition, such that by the end of 6 months, you are well informed about that condition and can make certain decisions along that line. So I spoke to a few people about it. So, oh, wonderful idea, lovely idea. But then I launched the business. I think that was before my MBA, quite a while back. And then I put 500,000 in those days into the business. And not one person subscribed to the business. And I was wondering why. They all said they loved it. They said they loved it, but it was not a problem they felt was important because I didn't count the problem the right way. So many times, many things we're doing, we understand the magnitude of the problem, but the general populace do not care. The moment you understand this, you know what you're dealing with. And so when you are wondering why people are not patronizing your business, they don't care about the problem. The problem has not been narrated in a way where they care about it. So step one is to make sure you color the problem in the bloodiest possible form for them to understand the magnitude of the problem they're solving. And that if you do not solve this problem, problems are about to happen. The situation is going to get worse without your solution. And so the key is to ensure you are able to solve the problem immediately if they have a similar problem. So peradventure, I'm talking to somebody that's about 39-year-old or 40, 41-year-old. He immediately understands that automatically this thing might happen to him. His lovely mother, his lovely father that he loves so much, that's held so dear to him, that's responsible for who he is today, may die soon simply because the solution is not available. That is a finger being chopped off. So you must crouch your problem in that way. Many times we create solutions, say it's telehealth, say it's records. What is the problem it's solving? And why should the person listening care about it? So step one, what do you do? It's not what I do, it is the problem I solve that is important. Bam, shut up. The person will ask, so what's the problem? And then you drop the problem on him. Make sure you understand the importance, the magnitude, the benefits of what you're doing, and then also keep quiet. If the person is interested, he will ask you, how do you solve it? If he doesn't ask, move on. The person is not interested. Don't bother the person. Many times we try and keep on telling them everything we do, and the person is like a deer being stuck in the headlights. He wants to disappear or go away, but he cannot go until you finish talking. He's no longer interested in what you're saying. And so if you wait for him to ask, that's what they call permission-based pitching. If you wait for him to ask, then it's a conversation, it's not a one-sided thing. So if at that point, you can also add the statement, is this a problem you have? Or do you know anyone with this problem? So the truth is that if they don't have the problem, just stop at that point in time. If they know someone that has a problem, tell them to tell the person about you. And the beauty is that they may not need to know the solution you have, but they know somebody that has that problem and can tell the person about your solution. So all they will say is that, you have this problem. I know somebody that solves this problem and connects you. The mistake you need to avoid is to talk about your solution while talking about your problem. Remember what I said. In Nigeria, for instance, before the age of 40, 45, you will have lost one or both parents to untimely death, or have them severely incapacitated by a medical condition simply because it's the absence of preventive care for the elderly. And I stop. I've not told you what I do. I've not told you how I will solve it. It's based on the permission. If I now get permission to move forward, then I do that. The problem is that many times people ask you what you do, and then you jump to your solution, how it works, how what you've done, all these things. The person was not interested. But you must get the person's feedback before you take the next steps. So when the person says, you ask the problem you have. If the person says, yes, I have that problem, how do you solve it? You move forward. If the person says, no, it's not really a problem for me, you ask, do you know anybody that is in a similar situation? Then the person can think of one or two people and then can make that connection or let you know, let the person know the solution is available and so on and so forth. But if that doesn't happen, end there and continue. It's not compulsory to tell the person all the story of what you're doing. So peradventure, the person now asks how. You now give the person the solution. And the key is that the solution must be tied to the problem. You cannot state a problem and state another solution. And that's the problem many people have. The problem they say they're solving, when you hear the solution, it doesn't connect to the problem in any way. And so I wonder, how do these two things connect? There's already a mismatch and a mistrust in your credibility, because it seems like you don't know what you're doing. So if you say the problem is this, whatever solution you have should directly impact that. So in general care, for instance, we make it extremely easy for people like you and I to provide regular preventive care for their parents in Africa using the general care mobile application. And I stop there. Because that's the what. This is the problem. This is how it solves. Many times there's a difference between what do you do and how do you do it. They did not ask you how you did it. They asked you what. If they want to know how, they will ask the next question. So now they're engaged in a conversation with you. They're interested in what they have to say. If their reason for asking what do you do was only to tell them or tell you what they do, then you've broken that cycle. They are now interested in what you do. So then you tell them, this is what I do. They can ask you how. You now break it down further. We have a digital health platform that people can sign up on. When you sign up, you match it to a doctor. The doctor sees you regularly and so on and so forth. But that comes later on. So you realize the entire discussion is me having a discussion with the person. The person is engaged and enjoying what we're discussing. He's not trying to escape me. Even if he's an investor, the moment I say all these things, once I leave his presence, he remembers me. He remembers the solution. He remembers why he has to tell his venture partners about this guy. Lastly, you talk about the markets. What we need to understand also is when we talk about markets, not everybody. We should avoid saying things like anyone or everyone. Everyone is not your market. Anyone is not your market. There are particular people for that solution. And what we also need to understand is that even solutions right now that are for everybody were once for only one person, were once for only a few people. But once it hit that group and it was able to move forward, it transcended to everybody. Nobody started their business thinking, I will satisfy everybody at once. So there are three key things you need to understand about this target market. They must need the solution, they must be able to afford the solution, and they must be willing to buy the solution. If they don't need it, but can afford it and are not willing to buy it, then they are not your market. If they need it, can afford it, but are not willing to buy it, they are not your market. So you must ensure that your market checks off these three things. They must need your solution, they must be able to afford it, and they must be willing to buy. So in this permission-based marketing, what you can say is that, but this solution is not for everyone. You now categorize who the solution is for. And there's something I learned long ago in marketing and sales. The moment you try and exclude somebody, he will try and include himself in the market. Once you've told him this solution is so wonderful, but it's not for you. It's for this type of people. The person will say, how do you know I'm not I don't fall into the category. So instead of trying to pull himself out, he tries to get himself into it. But the key is to phrase this thing this way. So what do you do? It's not what I do, really. I do many things. But the key thing is the major problem I solve. Okay, what is the problem you solve? The problem I solve is the fact that before the age of 40, 45 in Nigeria, 75% of people will have lost one or both parents to untimely health. or have them severely incapacitated by conditions that could otherwise have been prevented, simply because there's no absence of preventive care for the elderly in Africa. And my mission is to make sure I solve this problem. Keep quiet. They ask you, so what's the solution? The solution is that we have a digital health platform that makes it extremely easy for Africans wherever they are in the world. Subscribe for regular doctor home visits for their parents in Africa using the GeroCare mobile application. Stop. So how does that work? You're not going to how it works. But you state that it's not really for everybody. It's for the people that put a statement over there to help categorize the kind of person. So the person most likely, especially for a solution like this, to try and make you understand that he loves his parents, he should be part of these people. You should be marketing to me. And then you've completed the cycle of with three sentences. Problem in one sentence, solution in one sentence, and market in one sentence. And every single person you're speaking with totally understands what you're doing. Nobody's wondering why you exist. Nobody's wondering if you're important or not. Once you've done this, you have conquered that. So if you are able to go to the Ryan Folland page on YouTube or whatever, you will see various videos on it. He can teach you more about it. But I really enjoyed this because it changed my mindset totally blew my mind, especially for healthcare startups. This is something we miss out on and begin to talk. And I wonder why people don't want to do what we are selling. People don't like their health and so on and so forth. They don't care about it because they have not seen what is in it for them. You can now combine this into one sentence by combining the problem, solution, or market, problem, solution, however I want to do it. But so simply describe each thing in one sentence, and then to be one sentence containing problem, solution, and markets going forward. The 3 words idea is to use the comparison such that I'm the Uber of, I'm the whatever of, relate to things that they already know about. But if you have time, it's best to walk them through the permission-based marketing itself. So I think that's enough for that. I might move forward. So if there are any questions or anything you need to understand more, you can jump in and ask the question. But it's important to focus on these things when introducing ourselves. So imagine you're in a networking session. They say, Dr. Simpa, what do you do? So my name is Dr. Simpa. I run the Unicorn Den. The major problem we're solving is this. The way we're solving it is that. That's the most summarized version for this type of sessions. So the problem we're solving is, the way we're doing it is this. Don't just jump into what you are solving and the solution and then rushing through it. That opportunity was there for a reason. If you miss out on it, you miss out on a lot of people listening to you. And you're just one of the other people introducing yourself in that meeting. All right.